This is the fifth state winning headlines, your media police post coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the Fort Hall School of Government. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 3rd of March 2022, and I am 2M.
Wow, we should become a rapper.
Oh my goodness.
I am 2J.
And I'm Serbia.
In case you missed today's headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, reveal the fixing of Kalonzo Musyoka. In the Standard, the curse of coalition deals. The Star, democracy is on trial, Ruto tells US. People Daily, Raila forms Apex team to lead campaign. So I think we're all aware this week that Deputy President William Ruto began his tour of the US and UK. He has used taxpayer money to visit nondescript people in nondescript locations. And with the ICC looming on the ever-possible threat of arrest, I ask the question, what is the purpose of Ruto's international trip? Of course, much of it has to do with diaspora voters that he wants to court. And another layer has to do with his international presence and perception. But here at the Fort Hall School of Government, we are cynical. Is Ruto using an international platform to disrupt the 2022 elections before it has even begun? Is he executing a scheme and using the West to sell it? William Ruto is like the pickpockets described to us by Robert Greene in his book, The 48 Laws of Power. For our Christian audience, the key to picking a pocket is knowing which pocket the wallet is in.
Right.
Once you know that, the rest is easy.
Yes.
But an experienced pickpocket will look at themselves and say, why work hard when I can make my target do the work for me?
Yes.
So the pickpocket will go to a busy market and he will place a sign reading, beware, pickpockets.
Yes.
As people pass by the sign, they will naturally feel for their wallet to make sure that it's still there.
Yes.
Meanwhile, for the pickpocket watching, you may as well have handed your money to them.
Yes. By
tapping to check where your wallet is, you have revealed to the thief exactly where to direct their efforts.
2G. It's the same as having a saying, "Usikojoe hapa," and the Africans, as you know them, will peace right there.
And so what is the point of both of these stories? William Ruto has gone to the West to tell on himself. And he has done so thinking that Muzungus are stupid.
Yes.
He has told them that there is a sign in Kenya that reads, beware, democracy on trial.
Right.
And beware, election rigging present.
Yes.
Yet, he is the one that has placed the sign there.
Yes.
And what is the purpose? It is said that if you want to steal something, you announce to the world that your opponents are stealing it first. So my question to Mr. Ruto is this. How do you know that rigging will happen? Where is your evidence of it? In fact, I think IEBC ought to call you in and make you explain your remarks in all fairness to Sabina Chege.
Absolutely.
But aside from all of this,
the
most damaging and long-lasting impact of Ruto's statements lie in the possibility that country may actually experience real voter fraud.
Yes.
And if the plan is for Ruto to draw attention by declaring, beware pickpockets, while he, in fact, is a pickpocket, when the real stealing begins, nobody will believe it, because he will have blown all credibility on the issue. But maybe that's exactly how he wants it to be, right?
No, I can actually imagine him as a pickpocket. When William Ruto yesterday told the US government the democracy is on trial, I was miffed. And I was miffed because William Ruto forgot the US government does not have great things to say about him. It has all the dirt on him. In fact, the United States government is on record saying William Ruto will never be an agent of positive change in Kenya. The statement came after William Ruto in May 2009 met former US ambassador to Kenya, William Ranneberger, and then Assistant Secretary of State for Africa, Johnny Carson. Excuse me. Ruto in that meeting told both envoys in the face that the 2008 KIAMBAA church fire that killed 35 women and children was accidental.
Wow.
These are not my words, but those of US Ambassador to Kenya, William Ranneberger, wired to his bosses in Washington. And therefore, we want to ask the following questions to the hustler boss. If the US government thinks you are behind the burning alive of 35 women and children in a church in Eldoret, wasn't democracy not on trial? When you chief hustler allegedly beat up Mzee Ruben Chesire to a pulp in front of Arap Moi at State House, was democracy not on trial? When Sergeant Kene was murdered before he gave a statement on a fake gun scandal arranged in your office, wasn't democracy not on trial?
Yeah.
When you publicly advocate for Kikuyus to stay in Central, and if they don't, people are bound to fight, is democracy not on trial? Sir, you are the least qualified person to speak about democracy. It's not your forte. And just to correct you, 2022 is not about the expression of democracy. No, it is about saving the soul of this country from the threat you pose. August 22 is about cleansing the country from the anarchy your green and yellow party represents. August 2022 is about liberating Kenya from the yoke of mediocrity, poverty, grand theft, murder, and abated graft that the hustler nation represents. It's about restoring the sanctity of our nation and handing it over to a clique of responsible men that will usher a prosperous future to our children and not to criminals. Therefore, Mr. Ruto, leave democracy to Raila. Stick to bottoms up.
Yes.
Bottoms out. In the last several days, the Deputy President, William Ruto, decided that it was not enough to stand and lie in Kenyan churches and political rallies. He decided that he will up his game and travel to America to export his lies on the world stage. And today, as we speak, he will hold a market day in form of a church dinner where he will be busy selling more lies and extorting innocent folk. And the irony of ironies is that he has cost the taxpayer millions of shillings to go and announce to foreigners that the Kenyan economy has been captured, curtailed, and brokered. To be exact, it has cost us 107 million shillings, millions spent to go gallivant and campaign in the US. And we call it campaigning because what is he bringing to the country from that trip? The only identifiable, tangible return we have gotten so far is aibu, embarrassment. He might as well have done his meetings on Zoom at the cost of data bundles. In contrast, when President Uhuru travels, the return on investment is trade deals and investment in infrastructure that will result in trillions coming to the Kenyan economy for decades. People across Africa are already marveling at the Kenyan road in the air that is part of the Great Northern Corridor. Can we say the same for Ruto's expensive trip? The point here is about misplaced priorities. Ruto's actions were not only irresponsible, but also insincere. Can you call an economy that has nearly tripled its GDP in 8 years a captured economy? An economy that during the pandemic didn't collapse, but rather grew by 0.3% thanks to Uhurunomics, what we term as Uhuru's fast thinking and stimulus action plan?
Yes.
Actually, by Ruto castigating the government, he has made the case for his own resignation. Let me explain. One of the core principles of government is the principle of collective responsibility. This principle holds that all the members of the cabinet are held accountable for the actions and decisions of government.
Correct.
Collective responsibility is a cornerstone of governance, and without it, responsibility will be personal, political, and short-lived.
Yes.
So it makes sense why this principle is enshrined in our constitution and why the man who voted against this constitution in 2010 will be against it in 2022.
Yep.
But what happens when you breach collective responsibility?
Yes.
You are held to have effectively resigned from governance.
Yes.
And this is a good thing. Why? Because now we can access Ruto's responsibility individually. How can Ruto tell us about the economy being captured when he owns 5 helicopters?
Yes.
How can Ruto tell us about the economy being captured when he owns 18,400 acres of land in just 8 years? How can Ruto tell us about the economy being captured when he owns the high-end Western Hotel that is on disputed airport land and the high-end Dolphin Hotel at the coast? If Ruto wants to talk about cartelling, Charity Ngilu told us that if Ruto had had his way, the Wake Dam in Makueni County would have ended up a white elephant project just like Aurora and Kimwarer. It is alleged that he sought to inflate the cost of the dam from 13 billion to 39 billion shillings. Thankfully, the project didn't collapse, and thanks to President Uhuru, the Wake Dam is almost complete. Not only is it providing employment to over 1,000 Kenyans, it will provide water to 1.3 million residents in 3 counties.
Yes.
One can only imagine what the looted billions would have done for Aror and Kimware residents. And if we continue on this train of thought, one can only imagine what will have become of the mamambogas and small farmers he keeps advocating for if Munya had not intervened in the agricultural sector. In short, the only fate that awaits Kenyans in the bottoms-out economy managed by Ruto and his surrogates is soaring poverty, anarchy, and despair for all Kenyans.
Bottoms out.
I mean, it's called rebranding, right? So on that note, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines by. We ask ourselves, are the headlines topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, and thoughtful or just plain lazy? I would like to suggest that we toss all 4 headlines, right? The fixing of Kalonzo Musyoka, the curse of coalition deals, democracies on trial, Bure Kabisa, and Raila forms Apex team to lead campaign. I think none of them really inspire at all. So I would suggest that we toss, Serbia, all 4 headlines. Are we in agreement?
Okay.
Yep,
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, on to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, where we also have a 3-part criteria. Asking ourselves, is it humorous or dry, satirical or pessimistic, and effective or just plain lazy? Tuam, would you like to start us off with the Daily Nation?
Daily Nation, Dula, caricature of, or rather caricatures, Kalonzo Musyoka, Gidomoi, Martha Karua, and I think that is Jirongo, and they're shifting goalposts from where Raila is. And Raila is about to kick a penalty. Look, cartoonists, please leave Kalonzo Musyoka out of this. Everyone's been making fun of him. That time I saw a wiper on his head waving, recklessly. Kalonzo is the most beautiful girl right now, and
Sorry?
he's the most beautiful political girl right now, and he's being courted by all the political animals.
Right.
Right. Now you expect him to give his number to everybody. Let him find out who. Anyway, yeah.
Tuam, if you don't like this cartoon, I don't think you're going to like the rest of them.
Isn't that nonsense?
Because if we go to the standard, Serbia, what do we have? More Kalonzo.
I think we have Kalonzo depicted as a chameleon, but in a suit. I think he has different suits with different colors. So I think for Kalonzo, he already gave us a background of acceptance for his indecisiveness.
Wait. We have to describe the cartoon, right? We have Kalonzo in a blue suit, Kalonzo in an orange suit,
Yes.
Kalonzo in a purple suit, Kalonzo in a green suit, Kalonzo in a red suit, Kalonzo in a yellow suit. And Gado's typical little guy at the bottom is saying,
Yeah.
I guess he is yet to pick his favorite color. I think it's a funny cartoon.
Guys, leave Kalonzo alone. Leave him. He's just raising his stakes. That's all he's doing.
Sorry, Serbia, you were saying? No? All right.
Yeah,
I think we now look onto the Star. Again, more Kalonzo cartoons. We have Kalonzo with a very stretched neck and head, and he's holding a paper that has the, Raila R on it. And the caption here says, double speak. Deliberately optimistic, ambiguous, or obscure language, the art of political doublespeak.
I think we just toss them.
Leave Kalonzo alone.
Ashananai.
All right, so because 2M is really advocating for that, I'm going to toss all the cartoons,
Absolutely.
leaving us with no winning headline and no winning cartoon. But I will leave you with some words from Virginia Woolf. She said, if you do not tell the truth about yourself, you cannot tell it about other people. And I think that is quite true.
I love it.
So thank you for joining us today. Remember that you can find us on your TV screens. We're on Pang Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. We're also on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Have a lovely evening, and we will see you tomorrow.
God bless.